The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I tell you a Maisa Pella Admayit. I just heard this by the graduation of the Cheder. My Einikel Baruch Hashem graduated, and I heard this by the Cheder, and it's an unbelievable story. Rav Osner, Zechus Tzadik v'Kadosh L'Bracha, we know he lived to a very ripe old age. I don't remember exact age. I think it was 96, maybe. I forgot how old he was. So Rav Osner, when he was an old man already, someone came along, and he said, the phrase of the Gemara, "Ba'meh harachta yomim." So I said, "How did you come to have the zechus to live such a long life?" So Rav Osner took the question seriously. He said, "The two reasons." He says, "One, I can't tell you, but the other one, I'll tell you." It's okay. He said, many years ago, there was Baruch Hashem a chassan and a kala that got engaged in Bnei Brak. And it was a big simcha, both chashuva families. The chassan was chashuv, the kala was chashuva. Beautiful, beautiful thing. And terrible news struck. And a few weeks after the engagement, the chassan was diagnosed with an awful, awful illness, Rachmana litzlan. So the father of the chassan did what he felt was incumbent upon him to do. He called up the father of the kala to inform him. And he said, "I want you to know, we will have no hakpad at all if you drop the shidduch. Yes, your daughter is a Messianis and everything. She deserves to have a healthy husband, a husband with longevity. She deserves to have that. So if you drop the shidduch, it's not going to be an issue. Not going to be an issue." It's terrible. The mechut says, "What a terrible thing." I'll sit down with my daughter. I'll try to break it to her gently. He sits down with her, and he starts to tell her a little bit. She's not well, and then it's really not well. To make a long story short, he tells her the thing, and he said, and the father of the chassan called up, and he said, he mamish gave an answer that it's the best idea is to drop the shidduch, and mitzvah you go on, you'll have a life. She said, "I want to think about it." She thought about it for a little while, a few days. Meantime, the father chassan called back, because, he just, al chesed, he wanted to make sure they did the right thing. So he said, "My daughter didn't answer me," and she said, "Thinking about it, what did I think about it?" I'll ask her, I'll call you back. He goes over to the kala, and tells the kala, "No." She said, "I'm not doing it." He said, "Why not? Every person would give you the answer to do it." She said, "It's very simple. He's never so hurt right now. He's suffering so much right now to get such a terrible news, and I'm going to hurt him even more? Chas v'sholem, I'm not going to do it." Father said, "You got to think about yourself, about your future generations. You can't just make such a decision like that." He says, "I'm not going to drop the shidduch." He says, "You know what? Before you have a final answer like that, let's go to Rav Osner. I will ask him. Whatever Rav Osner will say, that's what we're going to do." They go to Rav Osner. Rav Osner hears the very sorry story, and he's very sympathetic, and he mamish has pain on his face. And after the story is done, the father says, "No, what should she do?" So he says, "She should drop the shidduch. No question, drop the shidduch." It's quiet. At which point the young lady looks up at Rav Osner, she says, "Is that a psak that I have to do it? Or are you telling me I'm allowed to do it?" Rav Osner says quietly, "You're allowed to do it." He says, "Good. And I choose not to do it. And I'm not going to do it. Because Nebuchadnezzar has so much pain, I'm going to put more pain on his pain. Khalil, I'm not going to do that. Rabbi, give me a bracha." At which point, Rav Osner said he broke down. He says, "I should give you a bracha. You have to give me a bracha. Such a person, such a Mesirat Nefesh, such a balas chesed. I should give you a bracha. I can't give you a bracha." She said, "Rabbi, you want a bracha? I'll give you a bracha. But only after you give me a bracha." He said, "I gave her a bracha." And afterwards, she said, "Amen." And he said, "And Rabbi, I wish you arichas yamim v'shanim. If I have a long life, it's because of that." What a story. Half of the Kamaisa. Rabbi Isai, sometimes we feel powerless. The Beis HaMikdash is nechrav for how many years already? Thousands of years. Thousands of years. Klal Yisrael is sitting in a terrible gullus. And sometimes we have tremendous yush. Tremendous yush. And we say to ourselves, if the Gedolim didn't do it, we're going to do it. If the Tzaddikim, the Rambam didn't do it, and all the Gedol Yolim, they didn't bring Mashiach, I'm going to bring Mashiach. Who am I to bring Mashiach? Rabbi Isai, we have a tremendous koyach. If we're maver al midoseinu, if we rise above our bodily trends, our bodily lures, if we rise above the taivas that we have, if we rise above the silly bickering that we do, if we rise above the machloikas that exist, the rabbis say we have tremendous power. Don't underestimate yourself for a second. This young lady, it's one thing that we should hear such a story and say, this is what Rav Wosner said about himself. Rav Wosner didn't have enough chusim. Rav Wosner, Yiddu Kol Kula, who was a pasuk for Klal Yisrael for so many years. He was someone that the Gedolei Olam respected at such a level. Rav Wosner. And he said, you know why? He couldn't find anything else. It's because that's the most powerful thing. Of course he knew he had other chusim. But there was nothing to compare to this young lady. This is the power that we have. This is the ability that we have.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org